Hey, what's going on, guys? Nem from Planet Destiny here, and today we're going to be bringing back the Community Spotlight. And my first guest, and I'm very excited to talk. It's going to be Mr. Brian Moncus here. Mr. Moncus, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role in the Destiny community?
Okay, well, I guess I could start at the beginning. I'm basically a small-time artist. Did go to college for that sort of thing, that whole uh, art school thing, I guess you could say.
Hmm.
I spent a lot of my time doing a lot of fan art, basically anything I'm interested in, has been for a long time. Video games, mostly World of Warcraft or now Destiny. I've always, I guess, I don't know, kind of tried to mix a lot of my art with some of my some of the interests that I had from art school, which was a lot of classical work, a lot of classical artists. I guess you could kind of see some of that in my work.
Yeah.
I'm very trained in, I guess, a more traditional approach, a very portraits, figure drawings, that sort of thing. So my digital artwork is still getting into its own, so to speak.
Hmm.
And as far as my role in the Destiny community, I'd like to say that I'd like to say that I'm, doing as much as possible. But compared to some of the other artists that we have out there, it's definitely not the case. But I do try to put out as much as I can, as often as I can, to keep everybody going and to show something new as often as possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, there's I remember seeing your work. The first thing that I had ever seen that you had put out, it was somebody that had like retweeted it. It was the Warlock, the Crotus End Warlock, that you did, and instantly I fell in love with that piece, and I had to have it, and I have it, and I have that. I got the largest size of the poster that I could. I still have yet to get that framed, but man, that
Mhm.
was absolutely stunning. So like when you say that, it's like you're just getting like finding your style on it. It's like, dude, that is amazing. Now, how long have you been drawing? Was it something that like you kind of like grew up with an interest, or was there like a defining moment where you're like, I want to make art?
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, there was a moment, I guess you could say, where I kind of took more interest in it. It always helps when you have parents, friends that support you, and especially at a young age when you're at a more impressionable age, and you things matter more when other people take notice and support and praise you on. So, not to say that I had great art when I was younger, but I did always take my art to basically look to my art as an outside source of passion for the video games I played. That being Mario and things like that when I was younger,
Mm,
because I grew up in the world of Nintendo, Super Nintendo,
that's good
Sega,
stuff.
So it's definitely something that's always been there,
Yeah.
but I think it's mostly been just an outlet for me outside of actually playing the games when I was younger. Funny story about drawing and how probably I stuck with it and got better at it was when I was younger. I was in probably kindergarten or first grade. We used to ride the school bus, and there was this kid that would bring his drawings every day, and he was a little older than me. I mean, thinking back now, they weren't the best drawings, but to me, they were gold.
Yeah.
So he would let me borrow these drawings for a day. I had to bring them back to him. And back then, it sounds sad, but back then we didn't have access to copiers, and
Yeah.
there wasn't internet or anything like that. So the only thing I could do was take it home and literally copy it line for line and try to make my own copy of it to
Hmm.
have. And I think the repetition of doing that and the fact that I had to pay so much close attention to detail to get that exact copy, to where I could literally draw it from memory because I would pay so much attention to the line work. That repetition is what really I think made me more attentive to details today. Like when I draw something now, it's more, not just like, what can I draw, but like how alive can I make this drawing and how detailed can I make it.
Then it,
So,
it, it definitely shows. I went back and I was looking through some of the other stuff that you had done. That I believe you made this specific one for Triple Wreck, which was a hunter.
yeah, yeah.
And you made another one that had the King's Fall ornamented gear as well.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot. I mean, the just again, everything in there, like every inch of that art piece, just shows the amount of detail that you put on into it. So it definitely reflects. As far as having this talent, you were recently featured in a Game Informer, right? And we talked about this not so long ago when we were rating. Was this the first time that you were like involved with Game Informer, or?
It's the first time that I had an exclusive interview or piece in Game Informer, I guess you could say. The previous time was last year when Bungie had the Rise of Iron cover art contest, and I did enter that one, not with any work that would be in the style that I'm currently drawing in, but I didn't say I didn't expect to win because there was a lot of good art and I had seen a lot of it already, so I was kind of just up like, well, it's a bummer, but there's some great artists out there. So when they announced the winners, just kind of floored me because I submitted a black and white piece and there was all these great digital paintings, and I mean, I'm always humble when I win something. I'm not one of those people, that's just thinks they're great at something, but
like,
because there's always someone better.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the second time, and Matt Miller from Game Informer, who actually was my contact for the Rise of Iron cover contest, he's the one that reached out to me, and I think he does a lot of the Destiny inserts and everything in Game Informer when they have them. So
Right. Well, that's awesome. I mean, to have that kind of like feature in a renowned magazine like Game Informer, that's pretty insane. Now, one important question here, and I'm sure the chat here is probably gonna revolt: Warlock, Titan, or Hunter?
Destiny 2 or Destiny 1?
We can do both. Destiny 1 first, and then we can go to 2, because there's a shift as well for me there.
There is a shift. Destiny 1, I would say it's a toss-up between Warlock and Titan, because I played both almost equally.
Okay.
I started out with Titan, mostly Defender, just because I the bubble and everything. I loved the PvE playability of that class.
Yeah.
But Warlock, I took into PvP more in Destiny 1, and it was just I had more fun with it. I guess you could.
Now, were you one of the Firebolt Warlocks in the begining?
No.
Is that what that? No. Okay.
I hated those. No, I wasn't. I actually played Voidwalker a lot to begin with, and I did switch to Sunsinger for a little while, but it just never took to me.
Yeah.
It was a different kind of super, and I never got the feel for it.
Voidwalker.
There were some good players with it, but wasn't for me.
Yeah, no, Voidwalker was definitely my favorite as well. That Shatter Nova Bomb, that was delicious. Yeah. How about Destiny 2?
Destiny 2 is completely different. I mean, I'm Hunter all the way.
Hunter, really?
Yes. I am.
Do tell.
I am completely. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know if I have all three. I've played all three, and they're all almost 305. But I started out with Titan again, and I like it. And I played Warlock. But when I switched to the Hunter and went Void and everything and got Shadow Shot this time, something about something about the maneuverability, the jumps now. I'm just so much more in tune with the class in Destiny 2 when I, at least in PvP, than I was in Destiny 1. And I don't know what it is, but my scores are just so much better, and I have so much more movement in Destiny 2 with the Hunter than I did in Destiny 1. And others might say opposite, but for me, that's just how it is. I don't know.
Now, what about weapons? What are some of your, like, for example, like favorite exotics that you've had?
Um, I, I hate to say this, but the exotics in Destiny 2, there's only if a handful that I would say are just worth being called exotic.
Yeah.
And I know this has been over 100 times in the community with different content creators, but Alma Night Stalker, for instance, I use, and I know probably a ton of people do, but PvE, we use the, I think it's Orpheus rig,
Yeah.
the boots.
Yeah.
Those things are amazing, and I think better than some of the Destiny 1 exotics that I saw, but just because they are so practical and useful.
Yeah.
But that hunter wise and PvP, obviously I'm using the uh, what is it, knucklehead radar,
Okay.
things like that.
Yeah.
Just something that's got a little bit more consistency to the
Yeah.
usefulness of it.
Now, if there was a weapon, from either legendary, blue, or exotic from Destiny 1 that you can snag and bring that mess into Destiny 2, what would that be?
Um, that's hard because Destiny 1 I played mostly Warlock and Titan,
Uh-huh.
and I haven't really thought about that in terms of Destiny 2 because I haven't really played those classes that much. I would say I really enjoyed Saint 14's helm, at least for PvE in Destiny 1 for the Titan,
Yeah.
because it was extremely useful.
That was a great helmet.
Yeah, it was. But I don't know. And then Hunter, I didn't really play him in Destiny 1 that much, so I can't really. I mean, they did bring some in. They did change a little bit about the Celeste, like some of the looks with some of them. But the Celestial Nighthawk got brought back, and then the Knucklehead Radar got brought back. And
Yeah.
some people are speculating that we'll be getting back just about all of them at some point.
I can see
So,
that, yeah.
I really don't know. I wish they would tweak the ones they had a little bit
Yeah.
and make them a little bit better, because there are literally some exotics right now that are just useless. So
Yeah, no, I agree. One question that, like, as I was going through your DeviantArt profile, you have you took this leap, so you have like a lot of like chibi style art on there, which look awesome. Like I love those, but you go from cutesy chibi to ultra detailed, super realistic, dark, gritty style. Like, what prompted that change?
um, there was another artist I was recently talking to on Twitter about some things with style, and I think he was complaining about trying to make his own style, trying to find that area where he felt like he had something that was different. And I had always done cartoons. I mean, a lot, I love doing like small cartoons, like chibis and stuff like that. That's cuteness. But I drew everything. I mean, I've drawn in real life, like outside of Destiny, I guess I should say, with my artwork. I've done portraiture. I've done landscapes. It just really. I don't have like a certain style that I stick to. So the weird thing about it was the kind of start of me actually putting any artwork out there in the community was the chibi stuff. It just so happened that was what, somebody saw of mine and people liked it. So I just kept doing it and, I did some commissions and, it wasn't until a little later that I backed away from it for a little while because I got kind of burnt out on it. Artwork wise, I got kind of burnt out on trying to learn a lot more digitally because I was pushing myself. And that's when I just I guess I just stepped back and said, I'm just going to draw something that I feel a little bit more comfortable with, that's interesting to me. And I started working on the Titan, which was the one where the Thrall and the Titan with the strike specific gear from Destiny 1 from Taken King. and that was one of what my Titan actually looked like. So I felt like, well, I'll just draw him, but I want to throw some detail in. I want to make this thing really gritty, and I want to make this character into something that feels a little bit more like it's Destiny, but it's like this is what it would really be like for
Right.
something like this. And when I started working on it, I remember I was on vacation, and that's when I joined the DCA Discord, and I showed it on there, and Faisal Mekki was just like, he was like, oh my gosh, and I was like, okay, I'll finish it, and when I did, I got such a good response out of it. I was like, well, I'll do another one, and that's where the Crota in Warlock came from, and then the Hunter, and then so on and so forth. So
I've noticed that you've done like quite a lot of Hive, themed stuff. Is there any particular reason? Are you just like into kind of like the Hive aesthetic, or is that just kind of like,
it
just
just
random
kind of
choosing?
it just kind of goes back to aesthetics really, and
Hmm.
what kind of appeals to me. And I think everybody was a really big fan of the Hive gear. There's something wicked about it.
Yeah.
Um, and with that, like I soloed back when Crota's End came out, and you could cheese just about every encounter.
Yeah.
Except for Crota, I soloed just about all of it over and over and over again every week just to get the gear, and specifically the Warlock gear because I was so just enamored with it. I was like, I gotta have this stuff. This looks awesome. Um, but with that, like that, there just goes into some of the other interests that I have. Like,
Hmm.
there's always like games that have that kind of vibe to them, like the dark and kind of creepy aspect of it.
Right.
It's just in my drawings and the way I feel for the characters and things. Like I always have that kind of I don't know anything way to describe it except for like maybe like Dark Souls. Do you know
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
kind of feel for that world?
Hmm.
That's just how I view a lot of things, and it's not everything shouldn't be like armor shouldn't always be in its crummiest state or in its
Yeah.
like worn state. But when I look at that, I'm thinking like if this were real, this is how everything would be very like worn and
Yeah. Tattered and
yeah, and that's just the Hive stuff just has that feel to it. It's got like a creepy, like just deathly feel
yeah.
to it. So
That's awesome. And again, that's throughout, Criticism and King's Fall. Those were like my favorite sets. So that's great choice there. You have good taste. You have good taste. I dig that. Um, Now, usually how long does it take you to like, complete like an entire, art piece of that magnitude and detail?
um, I guess I should say it's going to depend
Hmm.
because different armors require different detail.
Right.
Because in my mind, like for instance, the Warlock that I just did that was in Game Informer, it took less time, but it was only because there was a lot of cloth,
Yeah.
and cloth is a lot. I mean, people probably would say that it's harder for them because getting folds right and all that stuff, but cloth to me is easier to do than something I have to actually render out with line work, if that makes sense.
Right.
A lot of the cloth is done with shading, just shading because it has to be very soft. But if you deal with something like say if I went and did a Titan with full Vault of Glass gear,
Hmm.
you know, I'm gonna want to make him as vexy and just robotic looking in places that probably wouldn't be there, and that's going to require a lot of intricate little details.
Gotcha.
That one would take me about a month probably versus the other, which took me about 2 weeks
Okay.
of working time.
Gotcha.
So it varies a lot.
Now, have you ever? I know you did this for the Oryx. You have a YouTube channel where you uploaded it, I believe. The progress for the Oryx, which getting that soon. Have you ever considered streaming progress of your work?
Yes, actually. Talked to Cobb One
Hmm.
about it a lot because I know he's doing it a lot now
Yeah.
versus how he used to. Um, but yes, actually, I'm right now. I'm literally today. We are in the final stages of finishing a room that we're turning into what I'll be using as like a sort of stream room, game room,
Oh,
and
that's
also
awesome.
for a lot of more of our gaming memorabilia, so to
Hmm.
speak. And I was kind of holding everything off till I got myself a good spot set up to do it. So it shouldn't be long, maybe around the first of the year, when I actually sit down and actually start streaming. I want to stream on a regular basis.
Right.
It's just not something I've announced yet because I don't feel like I'm completely ready to do it yet. I'm holding back for a little bit, but
Hmm.
won't be long.
Which is awesome because I'd definitely be interested in seeing, just how you get that detail in there, man. That's super impressive. And when we rated not so long ago, when Mark Square had asked me over Twitter, I was at work, and he's like, "Hey, you want to raid tonight?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Because every time he had asked me, I'm either leaving for work or like I was picking up like my family, like without fail. So he was like, "Yeah, I'm trying to get a raid together. Let me know when you get off." I was like, "Yeah, I'll be off and should be on time to join." He's like, "Oh, by the way, Monkus is joining us." I I was fangirling so hard at work. Like, no, what? Like, you should have seen the DM that like I replied. I was just like so excited. And so when like I joined the party and I saw you there, I was like, all right, play it cool, Nem. Play it cool. Because yeah, again, I love your work. I think your work is fantastic. So I'm looking forward to what you bring in the future. Um, Now just kind of wrapping things up here. Destiny 2 has been a hot topic of the community. How do you feel about like the state of the game right now as opposed to the 3 years that we saw of Destiny 1?
It's a mixture. And I say that because, like everybody who's a fan of this game, I have a lot of high hopes for it, and you want the best for it. And I've seen some things they've done that I'm not happy with, and I've seen some good directions that they're going. My biggest question is I think is what is their intention? I mean, because they have these weird changes that they've made.
Hmm.
Things that are just odd, that you just want to question, what are you really trying to do here?
Right.
And some of them are some of the changes are not so drastic, and then there's some that's just really just leaves you out there wondering. So I, I enjoy it. I mean, I do. It's Destiny. I enjoy the game. I
Right.
enjoy the story. Enjoy the lore. As with all the games I play, if the lore is good, I'm into it. But I really hope that this is just a really, really basic foundation for what they're going to be doing with the game, and they're going to build on this and make it better than Destiny 1 was. I'm hoping.
Right.
And I think everybody is. I mean, I think we all want it to be,
The
that
best.
game that we wanted after Destiny 1,
Yeah.
Um, but even when I played the beta, I knew it. I said it's different.
Yeah.
It feels different. The movement, everything just felt different, and I was like, this is gonna be different. I knew it
Yeah.
would be. I just didn't know.
To the extent.
Yeah, to the extent
Yeah.
exactly.
What would be, just obviously there's a lot of different things that we would love to see them implement into the game, but what would be like, a key either feature or addition that you would love to see them implement into D2?
Well, aside from, I'm even not going to mention some of the stuff that have been talking about with the
Right.
rank play and all
Yeah.
that. My personal, because those are all great.
Right.
There's so many things they could implement,
Yeah.
but
This is a what you
yeah,
want.
me personally, I'm much more. I love the PvP side of it, but I love PvE, and I love lore, and I love story. I love small things that, like I said, I was a big WoW player. I could really get into the lore that, I mean, I read the books, that I just intrigued me.
Hmm.
So knowing more about the story, but not through necessarily doing things like the Grimoire or the things like that we've been used to, but doing small things. I enjoyed the Dead Ghost in Destiny 1. I mean, I love finding stuff like that. Like, I'm an explorer kind of person.
Yeah.
So having more little things and more involvement in the world would be better for me. Not just go out to the same place and kill these enemies, but like small things that you could implement that would just give me motivation to go out there and see what I find that's, you know, that I didn't find yesterday, but in the same area, or just little things like that. I don't really know how to explain that, but
No, I get you.
I feel like if they did something that had a little bit more insinuation to go out and just want to do the daily activities and everything, then I would enjoy the game a lot more on that side.
Right. Well, that's awesome. I mean, again, like you mentioned, we all want, Destiny to be the best, that it possibly can. But it does have a solid foundation, and we're gonna have to wait and see how hopefully that plays out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's about wraps it up. I don't want to take too much of your time. Why don't you let us know where we can find you, and we'll post that at the description at the bottom as well. That way, people can find you.
So I guess the main place would be Twitter. BK Monkus is my Twitter handle. I try to update there as regularly as I do my Instagram, which is Brian Monkus. Trying to think. I have a Facebook that I'm kind of doing, but it all falls in line. They get updated simultaneously. So
yeah,
I think the Facebook is Brian K Monkus. But other than that, those are the three main ones.
Okay.
I'm sure when streaming comes around, there'll be a lot more updates to come.
When you're good and ready for that. Yeah.
Won't be long. It won't be long.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait. Again, super massive thank you for doing this. Again, fanboying a little bit over here, so I really appreciate it.
Anytime I can shine a little light, so to speak, on some of the stuff that I do, because all I do is post drawings. So I'm sure there's people that want to know a little bit more about, how I get there. So.
Well, on that ending note, if there was like any kind of advice that you'd like to give out for aspiring drawers or artists out there, what would that be?
Well, I guess I'm not really one to have the most advice on this kind of stuff. I mean, I'm not in the profession or anything as far as not working at Bungie or anything. So, as far as from what I've done, I guess the main thing is just to practice. Repetition is your best friend. It doesn't matter if you're copying, tracing, as long as you're doing it from a learning perspective. Eventually you'll get where you want to go. And the biggest thing is for you to be happy with what you do, because if you're not happy with what you do, there's no point in doing it. So
absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much. Chat. I'm a streamer primarily, a YouTuber second. I always want to say chat. For the viewers who are watching this on the YouTube side, thank you so much for hanging out. Hopefully you guys liked this little community spotlight. Hopefully more to come in the near future. Again, Brian, thank you so much.
Thank you
for coming on and chatting. It was good to pick at your brain a little bit, get to know where everything came from. With that being said, I'll see you guys on the next one.